Hey you guys, welcome to my channel. Welcome to another episode of this Piscean Reports. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you guys are having a terrific afternoon. For those of you new to my channel, welcome aboard. For those of you who are returning, welcome back. So this is one of those videos where we do a little spiritual chit chat. So for those of you who are looking for something tarot related, you can leave. For others of you, you know what? And this is weird to me. I shouldn't even have to say this because it never ceases to amaze me that there's people out there who are of the Christian faith who still feel the need to look at my channel, gang stalk the channel. So I guess so they could turn around and give every reason why you shouldn't listen and whatever. So here's that opportunity for anyone who is of the Christian faith to go ahead and exit because what I'm about to talk about is just something that just a little insight that I was thinking about the last couple of nights. And I just wanted to kind of share it with you guys. So I wanted to talk about Adam and Eve. And you're like, wait a minute, are you sure this isn't about Christianity? And I want to say this. Let's say this. I want to talk about the story of Adam and Eve, okay? Because literally for me, those, they're pretty much just pretty fascinating stories that exist in religious text, okay? But for anyone who is not familiar with Adam and Eve, and I can't say that can't be. No, you absolutely can. There's people in the world who do not subscribe to Christianity. So, but if you are someone who is on the spiritual thing and you're not too familiar, of course, Adam and Eve, in the beginning, God created the world and then he created Adam, and Adam was having this, and he was pleased with everything he had done, but he saw that Adam was a little bored. So he created a partner for him and he put him to sleep. He took a rib, he created Eve. And so here we are with Adam and Eve. Now, the point that I'm even mentioning these people, or that whole story in general, was just, there's a point to that. I want to invite you guys to live in the energy of Adam and Eve. And, to be more specific, I want you to live in the knowing like Adam and Eve did. If the story is true, we'll just say that. If the story of Adam and Eve is true, then, these are two individuals who knew God was. They didn't have to try to guess. They didn't have to believe. They didn't have to have faith. They knew God was, right? Or the all-encompassing being is, right? And so I was like, I was thinking about it last night. I was like, you know what? Yeah, like invite them to live in the knowing. Okay, I tell you guys that all the time. You can have faith, and like I said, religious, texts or religion in general requires you to have faith. And for me, I don't think it's enough for anyone to just have faith that the Father is, or to believe that the Father is. Because in my opinion, I look at it like this, you used to believe in the tooth fairy. You used to believe that there was a Santa Claus. You used to believe, at least in the Americas and in a lot of part of Europe, you believed in the tooth fairy. You believed in all these things, growing up, this was something that was pushed on you. Oh, go to bed. Here comes Santa. You don't want to miss Santa. And that's my whole issue with religion, because it's something that was pushed on you, these stories really did happen, and you need to, believe in it, have faith that these things happen, because ultimately the stories are to push for you to believe in the Most High, or to have faith in the Most High. I am saying you need to, I have to watch the things I say. because because the intention here is not to offend. It is just say there's a whole new way. I told you guys all the time. There's a whole nother way of existing and living and being, and which is why I love spirituality, and why I'm constantly, not constantly, but like I like to periodically come on and remind you guys that there's a whole nother spectrum and a way to worship. I don't even like the word worship. I don't like the word worship. It is, there's a whole nother way to be as far as you and your relationship with the Most High. There's this whole other way. You can have faith. You can believe. You've never, the book requires all religious texts. It doesn't even matter whether it's the Christian. I know Christianity because that is that thing that is pushed the most in this world, and it amazes me. It amazes me because recently there was a couple of experiences where there was someone who is of the Christian faith, and they felt completely okay with just coming up to you and saying, this is what you should believe and this is what you should know. You know what I mean? Twice, once with myself and once with a gentleman that I was hanging out with, right? And it blew my mind. It blew my mind that it was the 4th of July. The 4th of July, and this person came over and had zero problem with coming over and sharing his, perspective on Christianity. And it amazes me that those who are of the Christian faith have no problem walking up to people and telling them you need to believe this way and God is and this and that. But if someone like myself says, okay, yeah, I want to provide a different perspective on that, well, you're wrong and you shouldn't be doing that, and how dare you try to tell anybody else other than this, you know what I mean? So it kind of blows my mind a little bit. But I feel like this, in the same way that there are those who believe in Christianity have the right to just walk up to you and tell you that, their perspective and you need to believe. And the new thing that I'm seeing now is that, people will come up and say, you know what, I don't believe in coincidence. It was meant for us to talk to each other, and it was meant for me to tell you this. You know what I mean? And that's that new way of approaching people. Instead of just coming up, they say, well, I don't believe in coincidence, and I feel like I was meant to come up to you and tell you A, B, C, and X, Y, Z. So, and whatever. But the bottom line is this: I want to invite you guys to live in the knowing, in the same way Adam and Eve knew that there's this higher being. And if the story of Adam and Eve is true, we are descendants, right? We are the descendants of Adam and Eve. And so I am inviting you guys to live as your descendant, as your great grandmother and grandfather did. You're the originals. They believed, they knew. It wasn't believing, they knew. And I want to invite you guys to live in the knowing that God is, okay? It helps when you've had experiences, that left no question in your mind that, it is the amazing energy entity is. And so it's easy for me to say that. But the reason I wanted to say that is because, I have seen, I know a lot of you guys are going through it right now, truly. But And like I said, no one stays up forever, no one stays down forever. And I know it's uncomfortable. I've lived that. I have been on both sides of the wheel. If you look at the Wheel of Fortune, I've been on both sides. I have been homeless. So I know your struggle. But I want to say this: all the time that I was homeless, I had a knowing. I had a knowing. When I was about to be homeless, anyone would have freaked out and been in fear and the whole nine, but I just knew. I just knew. I don't know how to explain it other than I had saw when I had first, I told you guys I had that thing where I had did an electronic reading, and the very first thing it says is you're being divinely guided at this time, and I was like, oh my gosh, and then to have seen all the things that I had seen, and then as I was doing tarot readings and watching things happen and occur as they said, and it was like, oh my God, like this is like serious, this is really a real thing, it helped because I went out with the knowing that the Most High is. And I knew I could, you just know. I don't know how to explain it other than that you're being guided. There's something happening, and it's happening for a reason, and it's going to take you to this, and it takes you to that. And so anyone, and you don't even have to be homeless, whatever your struggle is, whether it's a health issue because I know energies or people who say that there's no way that there can be an all-encompassing energy, because why would this energy make them this way, have them, give them with the struggles they have. And, we've all incarnated into this world to experience things, everybody, you kind of have, a lot of times we ask, I can see people asking why, like, why would I ask for this? Why would I ask for that? I put myself in that category too once upon a time, like, why would you do this to me? Like, why, but ultimately I was shown, I realized, we come here for the experience, and again, like I said, how will you know what good is if you don't experience the bad? And I think that is the thing that a lot of people are struggling with. For some people, the struggle is in the beginning, the early years of their life, and then it gets better later on. Consider if you grew up in the hood and you struggled, and by some miracle something happens, you discover a talent or a gift, and that was within you the whole time, and you, armed with that knowledge, you take that gift and that talent and you go out there and you show the world who you are, and everything changes. It's the awakening. Oh my gosh, I'm a great basketball player. I'm a great football player. I'm a great dancer. I'm a great singer. I'm a great actor. There's something that is in you. And because, it came that moment where, okay, you know what it is to struggle. So now here we go. Here comes the awakening that you are more than you knew, and you become this thing, and it's that in that elevation, it's that talent, that gift that elevates you up out of that. So you may have been born into the downturn of things in the beginning, but at the end you experience the great. I could use Snoop Dogg as an example. Born in the hood, knows about the struggle, has gone through it, but he had a talent and a gift, and it came time for that moment where, bam, dude, you got it. There's something in you. It's time. And there's a moment where he, almost didn't do it, and his friend, I forgot who it was, told him, no, you need to keep going. You got something. Like, this is really good. And had he not been there, Snoop would have not continued, and everything, his life unfolded the way it did. But here he is on the other side of that spectrum, on the other side of the wheel. I was down, but now I'm on the other side of the wheel. And he can wake up and look around him, and his gifts and his talents, and have now put him in the most beautiful place in life. And that can be for all of us. You either going to be on the down end, in your youth, and then later on in life you will be on the up end, or you are like those who are born into the good, born into the wealth, born into privilege. I've seen, and it's really hard. I feel honestly it's harder for those people than it is when you start off on the bottom of the wheel, because when you're born into privilege, when you're born into the great stuff, and it's fabulous, and I've heard people on a lot of TV shows who had terrific lives growing up. I will use what's that, the show Dateline. How many times have you guys seen these amazing pictures of these people, and they've had beautiful smiles and amazing lives, and they've had the most perfect lives, and then only to later on be have disaster hit and disaster strike, and the devastation becomes so profound. It's real. You know what I mean? It's hard. I feel like it's harder because you were born into the great early in life, and then now you've got to go through the struggle, and you don't want to do that. I don't like the struggle. The struggle sucks. I don't want to do this. And sometimes people will do just about anything to come back up out of that, because they know the good. They were born into the good. You know what I mean? So it's crazy, but just understand that, the struggle, I mean, it's a part of the human experience, and it helps if you go with the knowing that the Father is. Okay, I don't know why this is happening. I hate this. This is so uncomfortable. It's terrible. I hate it. But like I said, number one, how do you know what great is if you don't experience the bad, right? How will you know that when you come out on the other side, that, man, boy, it could always be worse? You always hear people say that. Listen, it could always be worse, and now you are going through that period where you are experiencing that oh my God, it really can get worse. It really can get ugly. It really can be. But I will, like I said, I'm going to invite you guys to live in the knowing. Just know. That's what helps you get through it. I'm not talking about having faith. Okay, like I said, it helps that I've had experiences happen to where it was like, okay, they left no question in my mind. Okay, you guys are, and this is happening, and okay, let's go. That moment of awakening and realizing. But I feel like they did that so that I can now tell you guys without any question in my mind. I'm not asking you to believe in a fairy tale. I'm not asking you to believe in stories. I am inviting you to live in the knowing, live in the understanding, in the knowing, okay, this is happening. It's happening for a reason, and when you're going through it, it's hard to see it and it's hard to understand, but it's when you come out on the other side of that and you're able to look back and understand that, man, it's what makes life interesting. It's what makes life real. It what makes life. It what makes it exciting. Like I said, if everything is perfect all the time, it's not going to get exciting. The good gets boring after a while. If you are living in the good all the time, it would get boring. So we have to experience down times and down periods in our life, and then so that when you come back up out of it, you have a better appreciation for the good. You have a better number one, there's that. Number two, you have that understanding of how the Most High saw you through it. So it increases your awareness in the Most High, which is the most amazing thing, is the most beautiful thing, because that's like ultimately, you now know that you can lean into them. I did a video the other day and I was talking about, and I haven't uploaded it yet. I got to do that. I'll do it a little bit. It was well, you guys might not read it because it's a Leo reading. But anyway, in there I was talking about how, oh shoot, lost my train of thought. You know what? I'm gonna get the stuff that the guy who does Family Feud. He has a commercial where he's like, he takes this stuff and it assists with memory, and I think I need to go find out whatever the hell that is. But anyway, but yeah, so it's just living in that knowing, living in that understanding, that he is. It's that experience that that helps you, get through it. Oh gosh, just trust. Not even trust. No, I need you to know. Okay, if the story of Adam and Eve is true, then they knew. There was no, questioning, and there was no, well, I hope so, and maybe, and like I said, sometimes things happen, but we came here for the experience. And then, like I said, just trust that. Here's my thing. There was someone that I was talking to, and they hate their situation. They struggle with mental health issues, and they hate that. They hate the struggle. But at the same time, I had to tell this person, I said, listen, the fact that you are not homeless, the fact that the Most High saw fit to put the right people around you, to people that won't take advantage of you because of this illness. And he's very blessed and very fortunate. Does he have to do with that? Yeah, but we came here for the experience. Everybody's got something, You got people who battle cancer. You have people who came in and they may be missing limbs. You don't think that they wouldn't give the world to just be like everybody else as well? Everybody's got something, there are people who have their limbs in the whole nine, and they may have may not have mental health struggles, but body wise, they're always in pain. There are people who their whole life they have to live and kind of live with pain. And I can't even imagine what that is like, having to live with lupus your whole life, or something. Nobody's perfect. Everybody came here with something they're going to have to struggle with, But it helps to know, like I said, it helped. I told him, I said, just be thankful. Understand that even though you're going through this mental health struggle, the Most High saw fit to put the right people around you. He's never been homeless. He's never known any kind of, like, for real, like struggles. He's always, I told him, I said, dude, God saw fit to put the right people around you. You've never been homeless. You've never been taken advantage. Well, you know what I mean. I don't want to say he has never been taken advantage of, because in the beginning there were, young ladies, and I had to hip them to the game on that. But anyway, the point is, it could have been so much worse. It could have been so much worse. He could have, he could be attacked. People know that this person has struggles. He could get jumped by some gang members or something. It could have always been worse. He's always had a roof over his head. He's always had food in his stomach. The Most High will watch over you. So he has to live in the knowing. It was very hard to explain to him. Like, I have had to deal with my struggles as well. But the knowing, at the end of the day, I know that the Father is. I know that whatever I'm going through or struggles that I have in my own life, it could always be worse. I know that the Father loves me, and I know He's watching over me, and He's given me certain experiences to share with you guys. Live in the knowing. Know that He is. That helps. Knowing that your angels are. Knowing that that there are entities. You're not here by yourself. You're not doing life by yourself. There are energies behind the scenes who are watching over you, energies behind the scenes who are helping you, the energies behind the scenes who will help you to get through whatever it is you came in life to experience and to deal with, and know it's ultimately everything is going to be okay. There was a young lady I saw online the other day. She had made a short, and she was talking about how she is feeling really disillusioned with life right now. Like she's really going through it. She's really struggling with life, with the like I said, she said she's living in her car. And I remember this young lady. She's got a YouTube channel, and I remember her during the good times. I saw her in her house giving readings day after day after day. I saw her shining. I saw her, she would make videos where she was getting ready to go out. She's showing how amazing she looked on her way out to the club. Her hair is done, her nails are done. She looked like $1 million, right? And I remember the good. I remember literally seeing her on the top part of the wheel. Life was good for her. She was making money on YouTube, but it never fails. Like I said, I told you, YouTube, the powers that be went and had a talk with YouTube and said these young people is making way too much money and is causing other people to want to leave the workforce and the whole nine. So now everybody who was making all this money and was doing good, now all of a sudden they didn't have it. I remember her telling people she used to get $300 and more for one video, and now she was only getting $100, and she was mad as hell, and she was showing people and talking about the whole nine. So I remember her being on the top of the wheel. I remember the good in her life, and now to hear her say she's really disillusioned with life right now because she's struggling and she's living in her car. Now she's at the bottom of the wheel. And to that young lady, I would like to say, I'm sure I've heard her content, and I'm almost positive she would see the video. So I would say to you, sweetheart, live in the knowing. Okay? Nobody stays on top forever. Nobody stays on bottom forever. Live in the knowing. Okay? It sucks when we're at the bottom of the wheel. There's nothing worse. It's like, but know that the Father has you. She used to talk about all the time. She used to call him my dad. My dad has got me. My dad is this and my dad is that. Live in that. Know that. Don't give up. I know it's terrible. And to anybody out there who's struggling right now, no matter what it is, if you are on the bottom part of the wheel, know that everything is going to be okay. It really is. And understand, like I said, just know that the Father is. Have the conversations with him. Have conversations with your guides. Have conversations with your angels, and let them know. Like I said, they can't impede on your free will choices. If you need help, say to them, I need help. Can you help me with? I'm struggling with. Can you guys help me? I don't know if I could do this much longer. Help me. And then just watch. I think about Moses as well. He did not physically see the Father, but yet and still God spoke to his spirit, and he lived in the knowing. When you live in the knowing, you don't have to fear anything. Okay, having the conversations with the other side, talking to them, there was something else I was thinking when I was in the tub about Moses. I kind of tripped off of that. Oh, just the fact that how amazing God is, in the way that he waited until Seti had passed. And I tripped off of that as I was sitting in the tub the other day, because I was thinking, Moses probably would not have gone against Seti. He loved Seti. That was Ramses' father. He would never have gone against him. So he waited until Seti had transitioned back and then woke him up, because he would have no fear in going up against Ramses. Ramses wasn't nothing to be afraid of. That's his brother. He's beat him several times before. It ain't gonna, I'm not afraid. I ain't gonna be afraid to go up against Ramses. But he would never betray Seti. He would never have done that to him. And I was really fascinated by that, how he waited until he passed and they said, okay, now you can go, because, I don't want you to have to go up against someone you love. You probably wouldn't do it, But just the fact that Moses walked in the knowing, freeing the slaves. And then there's this moment where he's standing there and he's having this conversation. He's leaning, at least in the movie, like he's leaning on his staff, and he's saying, how am I going to feed this multitude? Like he had some real questions, you know what I mean? Like how am I going to do this? How, like, I'm just one person. How am I going to feed all these people? But God, but he lived in the knowing, having the conversation with the Father. How am I going to do this? I don't know what to do. Like, you're going to have to help me. Like, I don't know. And that's what I mean. Live in the knowing and have the conversations. Like how am I going to make it through this time right now? The economy is doing so bad and it's so terrible. I'm struggling so bad and I don't know. I'm really having a crisis of faith moment. Like, have the conversations. Don't be afraid. Like I said, when you live in the knowing, I have had many, 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 many conversations, and it's easy for me, like I said, being homeless and knowing, just trusting. Never once was there, I'll take that back. For a brief moment, I envisioned myself, pushing a cart on the streets downtown, and I was really scared for a minute, but as I was being guided to just the right people, just the right walking out in faith. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know. But it took the walking in faith, that knowing that, okay, you guys have shown me up to this point. The fear was not in me like it should have been, and that's what I'm seeing. That's what I want you guys to know. I get being afraid, and not the not knowing is the worst part. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know where I'm going to go. I don't know what I'm going to do. I don't know. But live in the knowing. I don't know what's going to happen, but I know everything happens for a reason. I'm supposed to experience something here. You guys wouldn't have put me in this situation if you didn't think I could get out of it. Or there's something about this that's going to strengthen me in some way. There's something about this that's going to grow me in some way. There's something about this that's going to, benefit me ultimately in some way. So, live in the knowing, trust. In the same way, Adam and Eve, they never saw God, but they knew he was there, and we have to live in the knowing. We don't see him, but we know. And when I'm not asking you to have faith. I'm not asking you to believe, because like I said, you can have faith in Santa Claus, and you could believe in, in the Easter Bunny, you know what I mean? Like, that doesn't, we've been taught a lot of things. We've been fed a lot of stuff as kids. So it's really hard when you become that adult, which I think is so unfair. That's a whole nother story. It's unfair, like you've been fed all these things, and then you become this adult, and life is lifing, and things are happening, you know what I mean? And it's like, wait a minute, like, it's easy to lose faith and think I probably have been fed a load of BS, as far as the there being this ultimate being. Live in that. Trust it, though. But like I said, it's when you live in the knowing, having the conversations, having faith, trusting, and allowing them to take you where you need to go, to open something up in you. To you, maybe that, like I said, when you don't have, and it forces you to create something or try something or do something you wouldn't otherwise have done, and that becomes that thing, that life-changing moment. So you never know. But I will say this: just lean into the knowing, have the conversations, and trust. Okay, because I would not be telling you guys this. I would never want to feed somebody some BS and tell you, oh, yes, there's a great and powerful, I don't want to say odds, because that's disrespectful to the Father. But I would never do that if I had never seen with my own eyes. Have I not experienced all the things I experienced? I would never tell you guys this. I wouldn't if I hadn't seen it and experienced it. So trust. trust. Okay? Trust. Just trust. He absolutely is. They are. They are. And like I said, no, those of you who may have lost a loved one, I promise you, they're still there. They're still there. They never leave you. Never. Okay? And I know we would all love to have them still here with us and singing and laughing and dancing in the whole nine, but you still can. It's just that they're on the other side, but they're still here. So you can still envision yourself singing, see them singing with you, whatever you guys used to do that made the you guys interaction so much fun and so special. Still do that and just see them on the other side. See them with your mind's eye doing the things you love to do, because those who go back to the other side, they don't want you to just stop living and just be in a pit of misery and suffering and sadness. I know that they're still there, and they want you to know we're still here. Tell them we're still here. Let them know we haven't gone anywhere. Okay? Just know that's the most important thing about being on this side of the veil, is you have to know. It is the knowing that is going to save you. It's the knowing that's going to get you through the hard times. The knowing, not believing and not having faith, and I think, and then that's what it says, and I should believe. No, honey, no. Just know. Okay? All right, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. Sorry, because the mic is right here, and I did like this. I'm going to start. I swear, I keep saying I'm going to do some ASMR things or something like that, but I want to wait. I want to wait until, by myself, and then do the things I want to do, because there's a lot of sounds that I love and I would love to do for you guys, But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and go. Like I said, I just wanted you guys to live in the knowing. And then here's the other thing, real quick. When you live in the knowing, for those of you who are, and I'm just sharing my perspective on life, my experiences, I want to say this. One of the good things that I can say to you guys, when you live in the knowing, and this is why I told those who are of the Christian faith and those who go to church, it's like, look, you need to leave out right now, because this is where you get a little pissed off, because why are you telling them that, But I know it, so this is why I want to share that with you. One of the good things about living in the knowing is there's no need to get up every Sunday. I'm just saying, you don't have to, and there's no need to tithe every single Sunday, giving up money, I'm just saying, this is my experience. When you're spiritual, there's no need for the things that text tells you need to do. The text will tell you need to come in every single weekend or every single Sunday, and then the text will tell you need to give money, you need to give. And I can't imagine. Here's my thing. God did not tell Adam and Eve, listen, I need you guys to give to tithe to me. He never said it. Never said it. And it's like, that's crazy. He didn't tell everybody, listen, every Sunday I need you to sit and listen to me, talk for an hour or to, do whatever, because it's been my experience that you can talk to the Father whenever. You don't have to do it every Sunday. I don't have to give up any money, not saying that, I believe in giving to a charity, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying, and I know there's a lot of people like, hey, don't say that. But like I said, that's the beauty of spirituality. You walk in the knowing that the Most High is. There's no need to, when you walk in the knowing, it's not supposed to, the only reason I can consider anybody going to church is just strictly for fellowship. And I thought we were coming to get to know the Father. No, we're coming for fellowship. We're coming so that when the service is over, we can all go pile into the nearest, what do they call those restaurants? Where buffet restaurants, you know what I mean? And we can all sit and eat and talk, and we can get dressed up, and I'm coming because I'm hoping that the young man who sits in the pew over there will notice me, or I'm coming because I'm looking for someone who believes as I believe, and I get that whole thing, and that's fine. That's fine. If you're interested in that, if that's the goal, that's fine. But I'm just saying, for me, that is one of those things that I kind of notice, when you walk in faith, not even in faith, when you walk in the knowing that the Most High is, there are churches every day, When I walk in the knowing, I don't have to give up money. And I don't have to, I won't say that one. We won't say that. I'll just leave it right there. Okay, that's just one of the things that I love, about spirituality, churches every day, I'm just saying. But anyway, walk in the knowing, okay? Like those individuals who are in the stories, in the text, okay? Walking in the knowing. I'm not saying have faith. I'm not saying believe. I am saying walk in the knowing that He is. He's got me. My guide's got me. My angel's got me. And when you have that knowing, everything changes. It's the knowing. Okay? That's it all day. I know. I don't think. I don't have faith. I don't believe. I know. How amazing is it? You don't think the Father would love that He is? You're not hoping against hope, that you're not being sold a bill of goods. You know what I mean? You are walking in the knowing. And when you walk in the knowing, He is more than happy to bless you. They are more than happy to show you they're there. And it is when they show you and when you see that the knowing becomes that much more special. It becomes that much more beautiful. Okay? All right, I'm going to go because I'm starting to melt. Okay? I had to turn everything off and I'm sweating. When my arms start sweating, it's time. All right? I'm going to go ahead and go, you guys. I will see you next time on the next video. I hope you guys liked the message. If you did, hit the like button or don't, because at the end of the day, it's about me just sharing, all that other stuff, that YouTube stuff that they try to convince all of us that we need to do. Oh, if you want to make money and you want to be successful, you got to hype. You got to have people. That's some shit they created. Hype. Whatever happened to the good old days when you just showed up and made your video and you made your money and life was good? Now they've got all these rules. Well, you've got to have at least 10,000 of this and 100,000 of that, and then you've got to do shorts and you've got to be hyped and you gotta. And you're wearing yourself out trying to meet this ridiculous standard that they know is damn near impossible. Because at the end of the day, the goal is not to make you rich. Okay, trust and believe. The goal is not to make you rich. Trust. So that's why I said, if you liked it, great. Subscribe to the channel, whatever. At the end of the day, it's about just sharing a little message with you guys. Okay. All right. I will see you guys. I love you. I will see you next time on the next video. You guys have a great rest of your day. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.